Well, more QB news broke today, and Derek Carr decided to sign with the New Orleans Saints. And I wanted to talk to our New York Post Jets beat writer Brian Costello. Brian, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Ryan. How are you?
I'm good. And when you first heard the news break of Derek Carr choosing New Orleans Saints on a reportedly 4-year deal, what was your initial reaction?
Well, it's your move, Mr. Rodgers. That was my initial reaction. The Jets are now going to wait for Aaron Rodgers. Honestly, Ryan, I thought New Orleans was probably the leader for Carl along. I had heard back at the Senior Bowl that was where he was likely to end up. That's where the NFL expected to end up. That's where the Jets thought he'd end up. I think the Jets made some progress with the meeting with him, but the timing felt off because of Rodgers and the Jets wanting to wait for Aaron Rodgers. It didn't feel like it was going to happen. There was some reports over the weekend that maybe he was leaning toward the Jets. I didn't quite buy that. So I thought that this is probably how it was going to work out overall. So I wasn't completely shocked, but now it gets a little more real for the Jets.
It really does. And my follow up to this is when we heard about, obviously, like you said, Carr met with the Jets. He met with them at the combine as well. Did it feel like to you that the Jets were prioritizing Carr as option A for them? Or does this feel like he was actually option B and there's another quarterback out there that they really want to get?
Yeah, I think he's been option B all along. I think they really want Aaron Rodgers. The thing about Derek Carr that made him different than Aaron Rodgers or Jimmy Garoppolo or Lamar Jackson or Daniel Jones or Geno Smith or Sam Darnold, whoever you want to talk about, he's available right now. Okay. None of those other guys are available. They're all still under contract. The ones that are going to become free agents will become free agents on March 15th. And that's when teams can talk to them on March 13th. That'll be the first time they can negotiate with them. As far as Aaron Rodgers, he's under contract to the Packers and they'll have to trade him. So they'll have to give permission if you want to speak to him. So that's why Carr kind of became front and center in the quarterback drama. It wasn't like he became the guy for the Jets. They were able to talk to him. They were able to have him in the Florham Park. They were able to talk to him in Indianapolis. So
Right.
all along, I thought he was the plan B. And that if Aaron Rodgers said last week, I'm retiring, I think the Jets would have aggressively gone after Derek Carr. But I don't think they were going to go after Derek Carr as long as the Aaron Rodgers idea was out there.
And thus the Jets are now on that game and playing with Aaron Rodgers and figuring out what's next. What's that next step? Waiting to see if he's actually going to decide to play next season. And they're going to play that risk. And my follow up to all this is, what are those options out there? Let's say Aaron Rodgers does decide to either retire or go back to the Packers.
Yeah.
What are those options for the Jets besides Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I think the number one is Jimmy Garoppolo, who's going to be a free agent. He has familiarity with Robert Saleh from San Francisco. They went to a Super Bowl together. I don't think you can underestimate that. Robert Saleh saw him at his best, get him to the Super Bowl. He's a big fan of Jimmy Garoppolo when you talk to him. So the knock on Garoppolo is he hasn't been able to stay healthy, and that's the Jets' concern. I think the Jets think he's a very good quarterback, but durability is going to be an issue. Who knows? Zach Wilson might be the number 2 quarterback behind him, and the Jets. Do you feel comfortable with a guy that gets hurt all the time if Zach Wilson's your number 2?
Right.
Lamar Jackson is an interesting one, Ryan. We'll see what the Ravens do on Tuesday. If they use the non-exclusive franchise tag on him, teams can then talk to Jackson and offer him a contract. It's going to cost 2 first-round picks if you want to do that. The cost seems prohibitive to me for the Jets. I don't see Joe Douglas giving up 2 first-round picks. I also don't see Woody Johnson giving Lamar Jackson a fully guaranteed contract if that's what he's looking for, which has been reported. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but if that's what he's looking for, I
can
don't
I
see Woody
interrupt you right there, Brian, real quick? Like, I guess my follow up to ask you, Woody Johnson's the same guy who said, I'm willing to spend whatever it takes to get that veteran quarterback. It's interesting you say that.
I think he's willing to spend to a point. The thing, Ryan, about a fully guaranteed contract, right, is if you do the Deshaun Watson contract for Lamar Jackson, there's going to be 30 other owners that are going to be very pissed off at Woody Johnson. People are going to start talking about collusion here because it is like owners do not want to start handing out fully guaranteed contracts of that length. Kirk Cousins got one, but it was a shorter deal from Minnesota.
Right.
But the Deshaun Watson deal, that opened eyes with owners, and I don't think Woody would want to go against all of his brethren. It's going to be, you're talking about, paying Aaron Rodgers $60 million. You're talking, $250-300 million for Lamar Jackson. But I think the 2 first-round picks are a big one, too. I don't think Joe Douglas is going to want to part with his first-round picks. And Lamar's missed some time, so there's that. But So if it's not Garoppolo, then things get dicey, and does Tennessee cut Ryan Tannehill? I think the Jets would be interested if he was out there. They hired Todd Downing as their passing game coordinator. Downing spent the last few years with Tennessee. He gets a lot of credit for kind of bringing Tannehill back to, a high level of play in Tennessee. So, it'll get real dicey. If Rodgers comes off the board and Garoppolo comes off the board, then it's panic in Jets Nation.
It feels like it's already been panic here, Brian, for a lot of Jets fans. If you listen to sports radio today, I just want to ask you a final question here. And I don't want you to, not so much a prediction, but when you get a sense of what's going on here, does it feel like Rodgers will go to like, this is going to happen with Aaron Rodgers, or you really just at this point, like we're all waiting to see what happens,
I think it's going to happen, Ryan, but that's based off my gut feeling and just the Jets want it to happen. But as Aaron Rodgers said a few weeks ago, no one really knows what he's doing, right? he took a lot of pride in poking some of the national insiders that they don't know. So I don't think the Jets have any idea what Aaron Rodgers is thinking. I don't think any reporters have any idea what Aaron Rodgers is thinking. I don't think the Packers have any idea what Aaron Rodgers is thinking. So it's hard to predict it with any, firmness because he is a wild card. But I think, my gut tells me it's going to happen, Ryan. I just feel like it's been the Jets really, really want it to happen. I think they're going to try to make it happen. And all the word out of Green Bay is that they're done with Rodgers. Like,
right.
Keep hearing that over and over again. So I have a feeling Green Bay is looking to move on. So this could be, prime for the Jets to strike.
Yeah, it could be. And it's going to be really key if the Jets can get this done before that free agency period starts, because there's a lot of roster building still to happen here. And the Jets have a lot of questions to ask in the other parts of their roster besides just the quarterback. Brian, I appreciate you giving us some time and giving us all your insight on what you could on this entire Jets QB situation.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Ryan.